So think about this. You've got a massive AI supercomputer, right? A brain with thousands and thousands of GPUs. But how does it actually talk to the outside world? How does it get all its data? And how do we get the incredible results back out? We're going to dive into that because that connection, the gateway to the AI's brain, is one of the most fascinating challenges in building these things.
All right, before we jump in, just a quick heads up. This is part 7 of a big 15-part tutorial. We're breaking down this really comprehensive report called Building Large-Scale AI Data Centers by Virtualization Options LLC. Our whole goal is to walk through the key points of each chapter, and today we're tackling the super important topic of Chapter 7.
So let's start with that big fundamental question. You've got this incredibly powerful, almost isolated system. How do you build the on-ramp and the off-ramp that connects it safely and, efficiently to corporate networks, to the cloud, and to the entire internet? Well, the answer lies in a concept that network engineers call north-south traffic. And no, it has nothing to do with geography. It's all about the direction the data is flowing. To put it simply, north-south networking is just any data that's either coming into or going out of the data center. Think of it as the main entrance and exit for the entire facility. It's the data center's communication link to literally everything outside its own walls. I love this analogy because it just makes so much sense. If north-south traffic is the big national highway system that connects your data center city to the rest of the world, then east-west traffic, and we'll get to that later, is the super complex grid of local streets inside that city where all the GPUs are constantly talking to each other. They're two totally different jobs, and they need completely different designs. And that highway system, man, it is absolutely mission critical. It's how the AI cluster gets fed those massive data sets to learn from. It's how the finished models get deployed out into the real world. It's how thousands of researchers can log in to do their work. And it's how the operators keep an eye on the system's health. Without it, the supercomputer is just a really expensive, very silent box. And this brings us to the real heart of the issue. See, while every data center connects to the outside world, the traffic patterns for an AI system are a completely different animal. It's not a stream, it's a tsunami. And this quote just nails it. The source report from Virtualization Options LLC is crystal clear on this. The old rulebooks for designing data center networks, you can just throw them out. You can't just build a bigger version of a traditional network. You have to build something that is fundamentally different from the ground up. So let's break down what makes it so different. First, unlike a normal website that sends a lot of data out to users, AI traffic is all about the inbound data, these huge data sets being pulled in. Second, the traffic isn't a steady flow. It comes in these gigantic, totally unpredictable bursts. And finally, the network has to be able to handle everything from a researcher needing instant, real-time access to a bulk data transfer that could take seconds or even minutes. And to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, a single training job might kick off by downloading over 500 terabytes of data from cloud storage. That's not over a week or a month. That's at the very start of one job. The network has to be able to handle that sudden massive wall of data without even blinking. So how on earth do you manage this? You can't just open the floodgates and hope for the best. You need an intelligent system to direct all that flow. And a key part of that system is a technology called load balancing. A load balancer is basically the traffic cop for the data center's front door. Instead of letting all the traffic pile up and jam one server, it intelligently spreads all the incoming requests across a whole fleet of servers. So here's how it works, step by step. A request comes in from the internet, but before it even hits a server, it gets intercepted by this specialized device, often called an Application Delivery Controller, or ADC. This ADC takes a look at the request, checks the health of all the servers, and then sends that request to the best possible destination. This is what prevents any single server from getting overloaded and, more importantly, ensures the whole service stays online, even during those crazy traffic bursts. But really, calling it a traffic cop doesn't even do it justice. It's more like a full-blown air traffic control tower for your data. These things are constantly monitoring server health, so they never send traffic to a machine that's struggling. They handle all the complex encryption and decryption, that's the SSL termination part, which frees up the servers to do their actual work. They can even do what's called content-based routing, which means they can literally look inside a request and send it to the exact right specialist server. For instance, the report points out that a platform like Kubernetes uses these features to manage access for thousands of researchers, smartly spreading their requests across tons of nodes to keep the entire system running like a well-oiled machine. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. Why is getting this north-south architecture right So absolutely critical for the success of any of these massive AI projects.
Look, at the end of the day, it all boils down to this. The gateway to an AI data center can't just be big. It has to be incredibly smart, incredibly robust, and super flexible. It has to be engineered from the ground up to handle those massive, unpredictable extremes, going from a tiny trickle of traffic 1 minute to a 500 terabyte tsunami the next, all while maintaining perfect security and giving operators the visibility they need.
Which, of course, leaves us with one last fascinating question. We've just designed the superhighway that connects our AI city to the rest of the world, but what about the transportation system inside the city? How do thousands of those GPUs, the real workers, talk to each other at lightning speed to actually train a model? Well, that's the wild world of east-west networking, and that's exactly what we'll be exploring in the next part of our series.